to This Week in East Brunswick. This week, students at Churchill Junior High School enjoyed a night of healthy competition in a program sponsored by Students Against Drunk Driving. And the mayor and council recognized the high school marching band for winning a statewide competition. Also this week, Pegi Ballister Howes shows how to prepare to plant your live Christmas tree, and Bob Nemser recounts personal stories from the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., illustrated with pictures by photojournalist Flip Schulke. But first, here are a few words about programming on Channel 8 through the end of the year. Join Lenore Kulick and friends Monday morning at 10 for a pom-pom power workout on Look Great, Feel Great. At 10:30, it's Stories from the Library for preschoolers. Tuesday night's lineup features Just Kidding, with information about the new video game rating system and last-minute ideas for holiday gift giving at 7 o'clock. At 7:30, Steve Meckler and Larry Weisblum join host Paul Hansen for reflections on the financial events of 1994 and predictions for the new year. That's on You and Your Money. Exercise the Right Choice follows at 8 o'clock. Judith Lebline explores the world of crafts and tries her hand at a few projects. The East Brunswick Education Foundation is in the spotlight Wednesday night at 7:30. See some of the special programs provided by this nonprofit organization on Spotlight on Education. At 8 o'clock, the Teen TV crew goes on location to the Liberty Science Center, and Francine Schiffman finds out about options in cosmetic surgery from Dr. Robert Herbstman. This will be the last edition of the news until January. The library will be closed and there will be no cable casts Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, December 24th through the 26th, and also on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, December 31st and January 1st and 2nd. Happy holidays.
The Students Against Drunk Driving program, or SAD, at Churchill Junior High School, along with the township's DARE program, sponsored a kids' night out this week. Several dozen students came to Churchill on Saturday night to get together for some healthy competition. The students signed up for either basketball or volleyball and played in teams in a round-robin format. Most students appeared to enjoy the time spent with friends, participating, or just watching the activities. Also at the program in the cafeteria, the teacher's band played and the student bands performed for the crowd. The premise behind the Kids' Night Out is to provide a healthy social environment with activities that junior high schoolers enjoy while at the same time keeping them off the streets. Several teachers and the township's DARE police officers, Anita Wade and Mark Sismar, helped organize the night and make it a success. The program is funded in part by the East Brunswick Alliance for the Prevention of Alcohol and Drug Abuse.
Welcome to Blooming Acres. I'm Pegi Ballister Howes, and I'm standing in a hole. But this isn't just any hole. This is a very particular hole. TJ, you like this hole? You helped Daddy dig it, didn't you? It's for our Christmas tree. And last year we kind of got caught off guard because the weather got real cold, real fast, and when our Christmas tree was ready to go in the ground was a little bit frozen. So this year, we are ahead of the game, and we have dug our hole. And the important thing is to take the soil that came from the hole and put it in a wheelbarrow or put it in buckets in some way so that you can move it to a place where it won't get frozen, so that the time comes to plant the tree that's nice and warm where the soil is, you can pack it in around the tree and the tree will be just fine. It is a good idea to use some boards to cover the hole so that nobody falls in the meantime. But I'll tell you, it really does make a difference. When we were able to get the trees in on time, they did real well. And when we weren't, they didn't make it. But I'll show you a wonderful Christmas tree that we planted 2 years ago. Join us next time here at Blooming Acres.
A new book by photojournalist Flip Schulke will be in the stores in December. The book, He Had a Dream, contains photos and anecdotes by Schulke, who was a close and trusted friend of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. East Brunswick resident and art director of the book, Bob Nemser, talks about the project.
This book is the culmination of all of Flip Schulke's involvement with the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King. He was a close friend of Dr. King, and early on in the movement he hit up a relationship with Dr. King in which they both agreed that Schulke would be the chronicler of King's activities in the civil rights movement. And they exchanged private numbers, and he used to call Flip anytime anything was going to happen and tell him this is what's going to be, and be there, and he had special access to any place and anything that King was involved with.
Through an assignment from Mr. Johnson of Ebony magazine, I did my first assignment on Dr. King in Miami. He was raising money right after the bus boycott ended for SCLC. At that time, I had been reading some of his writings already, and at the end of the evening I just spoke to him in the church, and he said, come to the minister's house, which I did. And we had all night long we discussed the problem. Now, I'm 1 year younger than he was, and he was about 29 or 30, and I was 28, 29. And I explained to him that he wanted to know why photography was not done too much of the marches. This is the very early days. And I explained that a photographer has to know beforehand. So he gave me his home phone, and I got his. He got my home phone. And I started learning about what was going to happen before it happened, and I got on the site.
I decided in talking with Flip that I wanted to open the book with the funeral. I wanted to get that sort of out of the way up front and lead in with it, and then from there go sort of flashback as to what his accomplishments were, so that it didn't end on a down note or seem like a finality, that his being assassinated was the end of the movement or the end of the involvement. I wanted to bring it up front and show that things go on and have gone on after his death.
How did Flip try to influence the image, King's public image?
Well, after a while, the FBI and some of the other organizations tried to discredit King in saying he was a communist. So Flip came up with a unique idea in which whenever King was near an American flag or around an American flag, he would position that flag so that King was involved with that American flag in a way that nobody could crop it out or cut it out of the picture when they were scaling or cropping the picture. And therefore that helped sort of subliminally say that King was really an all-American person.
Mm-hmm. People also tried to discredit him by saying that he was a womanizer, but...
Oh, yeah. That's one of the reasons that Flip likes to include a lot of family pictures into this book and any other things that he does on King, because he found that in the 10 years of his friendship with King and traveling with King, he never saw any impropriety or heard of any impropriety. In fact, he witnessed many times his loving relationship with Coretta and also with the children.
And there was a real warm feeling in that family. I mean, I think he was one of the best fathers and family men I'd ever run into, because he traveled just like I did. But he really, they talk about quality time. I mean, when he was in that house, he was spending tons of time with those kids. And not, I'm busy, I'm on the phone, and that phone rang all the time. And some of the time he'd get Coretta to take it, and he just wouldn't talk at that point because he wanted to spend time with the children. And he and Coretta got along beautifully. I mean, you could see in the marriage there was this incredible trust between the two and tremendous loving between the two. And they both were very affectionate people. I mean, they held hands, they kissed. I mean, I didn't photograph that because, again, there's some things that are just private.
The book is closed with a picture of the eternal flame and the King monument at his graveside. It also, right after that, in the appendix, has the photo of Coretta King, the one that was on Life magazine that he won the award for, with a poem that was written by a Life magazine reader that was sent to Life magazine about the fact that that picture influenced this person to do the poem. And then the photograph of Marilee Evers, who was the wife of Medgar Evers, who was an NAACP leader in Mississippi that was assassinated. That was done as a poster for the NAACP, says you can't kill a dream. And then after that is a chronology of the whole civil rights movement, so that any researcher, historian, or interested person can go back in there and see exactly what happened, when it happened, and the chain of events of how it happened.
The book will be on the shelves in December.
The book will be on the shelves in December, into the bookstores. The official publishing date is January 15th for his birthday, 1995. But of course, it has to be in the stores ready to be purchased before they can make the announcement, so that people that go there will have the opportunity to get the book.
And you have other plans for it.
Yeah, what we're going to do is do an interactive CD-ROM for computers, which will be used for educational purposes, so that students and researchers can access any of the materials and use it. The CD-ROM will have Flip's voice, the photographs, the live footage, and also King's speeches in his own voice on the CD-ROM.
And your next project?
My own next project? Yeah. I think I'm pretty busy with these two now.
At Monday night's Township Council meeting, the municipal courtroom was filled to capacity with the members of the East Brunswick High School Marching Band, their parents, friends, and other residents. The band was recognized by Mayor Ira Oskowski for an award that they had recently won at Giant Stadium.
Whereas the East Brunswick High School Marching Band provides instruction in music and march for young men and women in high school. And whereas the East Brunswick High School Marching Band provides an opportunity for East Brunswick youth to learn and enjoy the meaning of school spirit and the value of hard work and dedication. And whereas for the first time in the school's history, the East Brunswick High School Marching Band won the best in their division at the CMBC Finals on November 20th, 1994, while performing in competition at Giant Stadium. And whereas the adults who gave of their time and energy to instruct this group of young musicians are to be commended for their interest and dedication to help guiding the youth of our community by providing a structured and disciplined music program. Now therefore be proclaimed that I, Ira Oskowski, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, do hereby commend and congratulate the members of the East Brunswick High School Marching Band, the instructors, advisors, and parents upon the occasion of winning this competition, and wish them every best success for the future. Be it further proclaimed that the members of the East Brunswick High School Marching Band have demonstrated the qualities of dedication, perseverance, and self-sacrifice, all of which suggest that they are now and will continue to be outstanding members of our community. Let's give them a round of applause.
Residents and members of the Raritan Valley Roadrunners Club presented a check to the mayor for his scholarship fund, money which was raised at the annual East Brunswick road races.
It is our honor to come before all of you today to present the proceeds from the Mayor's Walk to benefit the Camp Daisy Scholarship Fund. Special thanks to Mayor Oskowski. Councilman Dave Sarnowski, who filled in for the mayor at the walk. Karen in your office was fantastic. The rec department, Judith Loveline, Lee Gerhardt, Karen Bork, all did an outstanding job under all kinds of weather and circumstances to bring about a great day. Main credit for this goes to Doug Brown and Janice Reed, the directors of the entire day, which included a 10K run and 5K run. Just a fantastic day for everybody. Folks you see here, Donna Adesano, Ray Adesano, Gina Balsamo, Craig Lancaster, Doug Brown, myself, all were involved, along with St. Bart's youth group, in raising much of the funds for the Camp Daisy Scholarship Fund. Local sponsors such as Olive Garden, New York Sports Club, Smith Farm, Flip Over Gymnastics were among the businesses right here in our town who made this whole thing go. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of all of us, it is our pleasure to present proceeds from the Mayor's Walk in the amount of $1,600. Beautiful.
Also recognized on Monday night was Mrs. Joanne Habercorn, the new Mrs. East Brunswick, New Jersey for 1995.
Whereas Joanne Habercorn of East Brunswick, New Jersey, recently captured the title of Mrs. East Brunswick America 1995, and whereas the achievement of this title provides Joanne the opportunity to compete as East Brunswick's representative in the Mrs. New Jersey America competition, to be held at the Ocean Place Hilton Resort and Spa in Long Branch, New Jersey from July 29th through July 31st, 1995. And whereas Joanne Habercorn entered this competition with the support of her family, friends, and associates, while continuing to be responsible to her family and professional commitments, which indicates that she is now and will continue to be an outstanding member of our community. And whereas in addition to enjoying hobbies which include creative pottery, table tennis, dancing, and reading, Joanne's main goal in life is to open a private home for single, homeless mothers. Now, therefore, we proclaim that I, Ira Oskowski, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, do hereby extend my most hearty congratulations to Joanne Habercorn upon attaining the title of Mrs. East Brunswick America 1995, and bestow my very best wishes for continued success and happiness in all her future endeavors. Congratulations, Joanne.
In other council news, the Director of Public Works and Water Resources, Michael Opleski, made a presentation to the council on the current status of this year's leaf collection program.
This year there seems to have been some problems that we believe were just some communication problems, and they have been resolved, and we're again moving ahead. One of the things that we have to make sure happens is that we treat everyone within the municipality on an equal basis. And what we do is we rotate the 4 districts. We have 4 service districts that we run all our programs in regards to leaf program, pothole, and we prioritize those. So predicated upon what is going on in individual districts, we make appropriate changes. We find that's the fairest way of doing the program. Some people feel that's not fair, especially if you're the first or the last ones. Usually if the leaves haven't fallen by the beginning of the program, we're there too early. But if you're last in the program and the leaves are already on the ground, have been there for almost 2 months, and then we're showing up somewhere around Christmas, and you're not too happy about that. So trying to balance it all out and blend the program together between heavy districts, light districts, we feel we have the best of both worlds.
Township Attorney Bert Busch and the Mayor responded to the question of limiting the amount of time in which residents can rake leaves out into the street for pickup.
I think the council has the power to ordain it. Mr. Hudak was talking about an ordinance. I think you could have an ordinance if we know the schedules and say not earlier than 2 weeks before your schedule may be picked up or whatever it is. People are going to be afraid that they're going to miss the whole thing, so you don't want to say the day of or the week of.
No, sure.
But I think you could ordain it and look into it.
Well, I just want to point out, I don't think any councilman or any mayor that wants to be reelected is going to support that. I'll be frank with you. These comments coming into the mayor's office on a suggestion were not exactly the friendliest, and I would say very, very clearly, the residents do not want any change to the current program. If you start as a council dictating times when somebody could rush into the streets, even though it may make sense, I promise you that the residents are going to meet with much opposition, because the residents, I can clearly say, have already spoken on the issue.
East Brunswick Township Attorney Bert Busch announced his resignation after 24 years of service this week. Citing increased demands from his private practice, after the first of the year, Busch will continue as special counsel to the township, continuing to oversee litigation he's already initiated on behalf of the township. The longest-serving municipal attorney in Middlesex County, Busch served under 5 mayors, 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats.
Bert, what do you consider to be the highlights of your tenure with the township?
Well, starting most recently, it has to be the cigarette vending machine case, which I was involved in through the Supreme Court, and when it first was the idea of then Mayor Jack Sinagra, I warned him that there would be lots of litigation, and we were talking about 2 major lobbies, the vending machine and the tobacco lobbies, and I think I talked him out of it for a while, and then the Surgeon General in 1990 recommended that towns ban cigarette vending machines, and he said, "You're not talking me out of it this time," and he was mayor. And that was certainly one of the highlights. Going back to the early years, if I can just drop back to about 1971 or 1972, I started as planning board attorney when I was really not very knowledgeable about zoning and planning. And the first major thing we had was the construction of Brunswick Square Mall. Some people, I guess, who move into town think there was always a Macy's store here and there was always a mall, but that was just a big field. And it was a major application. I remember that we reviewed the entire thing at the planning board in one night. It was a long night, and I think I got home after 2. But we wanted to get that approved. We wanted the rateable. And going forward, the transportation issues were major. When the township bought what was then the former Modell store and now the Transportation and Commerce Center, people said, towns can't regulate interstate commerce. How can you do this? And Bill Fox and Lou Neely and then John Runyon, who was the administrator, said, we can do this. And we were challenged. We had to go to Washington at the Interstate Commerce Commission, and we went through the state court system, and eventually we were allowed to have interstate commerce regulations, even though we were a little town, because the ruling was that it was very incidental. I think of physical things that did or didn't happen. One of the major physical things is that we never had a pornography adult bookstore because we stood our ground. We argued that it was not appropriate, and we stated that it was a zoning issue and that the applicant had to come in for a use permit. And the applicant had a high-priced New York lawyer who knew the Constitution a whole lot better than I did, and basically minimized our argument, saying this is a First Amendment right, people can read and see what they want. But the judge accepted our argument, and it was such a nasty trial that we found that the applicant found it was better to go to another town that wouldn't give him such a hard time. I also remember in the 70s there was major litigation to try to stop the development of Bicentennial Park. People in that area, I mean, it's such a beautiful park today, it's hard to imagine. People felt that out-of-towners would come streaming in and undesirables would congregate and maybe throw beer cans. And we prevailed on that one as well. But probably, when all is said and done, the biggest case and the most important case I think that I handled personally was the Mount Laurel litigation. That started in 1974, which was the year I officially became township attorney. I was planning board attorney for 2.5 years, and then in early '74 became township attorney. And I simply decided that I was going to write the best darn answer I could in the best briefs I could and defend the town's right to try to zone, which was really the issue. There were other issues that the plaintiffs injected, alleging economic and racial discrimination, but we were trying to protect home rule. For whatever reason, I think I became lead counsel for the 23 defense attorneys, and it was really kind of exciting. It was a 7-week trial. We would have 10 minutes to go into a room after a witness had testified in direct testimony to decide who would conduct the cross-examination. And it was during the winter months, and all of us caught each other's colds and flu and sore throats and whatever. And more often than not, when we came out of the room, I was, it seems, leading the cross-examination. We lost at the trial court, and we all filed appeals, and we won at the appellate division. We were delighted. And then the Supreme Court had 3 full days of hearings, and we all went down in flames. We totally lost. And as a result of that, the whole town green plan became our way to deal with Mount Laurel. And the parade of horribles that we discussed never really came to be as a long-range problem. We were worried about the impact on our school system, and in fact, the school population has dropped. We were worried about traffic, and that has been a real problem. But the real issue is that so many people now have been able to move to East Brunswick that they have the choice of a variety of housing types. And so in retrospect, I don't know if that was so terrible. Tower Center, again, I think of buildings and things like that, led to litigation, which was just resolved this past year. And in that case, the developers had promised to put in a ramp, which was called Ramp A, and they never did. And we knew I knew we had a 6-year statute of limitations, and no one was really doing anything. We were negotiating, and they were promising, and they never put in the ramp. And I think it was an advantage that I had the knowledge that the statute was going to expire. So we filed suit, and we eventually recovered $300,000 in settlement, which we are now using to put in the sound barriers up in the area of Weston Place and Narracon Place. Those are just a few of the highlights.
What sort of work do you do in your private practice?
Private practice, of course, I do a lot of municipal work, and not just for East Brunswick. I've also been on the other side of the table at meetings at night representing applicants for development, planning and zoning. Just last night I was in Piscataway on a matter. I've been in many of the surrounding towns. I also represent the Monroe Township Board of Education, and although I will be home now on Monday nights, last night I left Piscataway and got to Monroe so I could cover the rest of that meeting, got home about midnight. I also do a lot of insurance defense litigation. I'm involved heavily in asbestos cases and insurance coverage questions, and those are the major things. We also do real estate and some estate planning, and my firm does more of that than I do.
Senator Jackson Agra has suggested that you would make a fine Superior Court judge. What do you think about that?
He has discussed that with me on more than one occasion, and I'm flattered that he feels that way, and I think I would like it. In a way, I think I'd like to wait for just a couple of more years. I think that it requires being an awfully good listener. Lawyers like to hear themselves talk. When you're a judge, you shouldn't be doing as much talking as the people who are facing you. I think I would like being a judge, but not this year.
Okay, thank you, Bert. We're going to miss you.
Thank you very much.
That's all for this week. Join us for the next new edition of This Week in East Brunswick on the first Thursday night of the new year. Meanwhile, happy holidays.